to bring me on the show. And what was the second part of the question? Why I decided to?
Yeah.
Um, well, the kids nominated me. That was one. They kind of pushed me to do it. And two, I have been single for a long time. I don't know, 10, 12 years. I don't know, a very long time I have been single. And I'm like, why not? Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
I hear that. Okay, so what were you guys' thoughts when you discovered, I guess near the end of the process and also watching it back, that your children were going to have a very heavy hand in the dating process? What were you guys' thoughts on that?
Oh, mine was when we found out that they did the meddling.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I was grateful. I was thankful because it gave me an excuse to say those dates were so awkward that if that was going to be shown on TV, that I just really didn't have no kind of game at all. So to me, it really helped me when they said that when Whitney brought in the oil, for me and Phil and all, because she knows that's my most uncomfortable, especially not knowing a man for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I was grateful and thankful. I was like, oh my goodness, but why did they put me on a bike? Whitney, was that you? And she said, no, that was not me. So other than that, I was grateful and thankful that I knew that they had meddled in our dates. I was absolutely thankful.
Well, I was nervous. I wasn't grateful. I was a little nervous. Well, I actually thought, I was like, Miles is going to have, I know he had fun with this. But then I was just thinking about how awkward it would be for Miles just to watch. And, I was like, oh my God, did he see everything? Like, I was a little nervous about the whole situation when I found out that the kids were meddling in the dates. Because I didn't really have a lot of dates where the medals were that awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
Or maybe your game is just that good. Maybe you played it off so well.
Maybe. Well, on the show, Miles said I don't have any, but maybe. Fellas, let me know.
All right, so you both had, a common connection, and I have to bring up my man, Phillip. So Phillip was like the silver fox. Everybody was fawning over. I mean, he's an attractive man. How could you not? I'm young and I still can appreciate Phillip's aesthetics.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you know.
So for you, Deneia, I know your son really wanted you to connect with Phillip. What happened there? What was the discourse in, that not coming to fruition?
So Phillip was such a good guy, and we did have a good time on the first date. It was fun when we got to the sexy s'mores kit. But so on the show, MJ talked about how Phillip reminded him of his grandfather. And so when I was in my confessional, they didn't show it, but I said the same thing, but of his dad's father. And so I just kept thinking in my mind, like, I can't date my ex-husband's father. And so it was just weird. The connect was kind of weird for me. So although Miles felt comfort in me dating someone like his grandfather, I thought that it was weird. And, Phillip is handsome. He has a nice body. We called him Holy Water. Okay. I mean, when he came in, you saw our faces. That wasn't cut and cropped. Mm-hmm. That was our real faces and reactions. But, a lot of times Phillip fell asleep. He was
tired. He got tired looking that good. I mean, you look that good. That's a tiring thing.
That's probably what it was, Trish. That's exactly what it was.
That's right.
Yeah. It's exhausting being that attractive.
It's hard work.
But speaking of you, Trish, there was also a connection between you and Phillip as well. Tell us about that. The beginning where you guys had your little date, and then the friendship you guys built throughout the process.
Yes. Like they didn't ever really show like Phillip coming on Sundays when we weren't being filmed, that he would start prayers and we all got together and got emotionally connected by telling our stories, our life thing. So it began there. I thought, man, this man comes in, first of all, looking like Jesus. Okay. He just came in, took our breaths away. So his looks perfect, right? Mm-hmm. Then he starts breaking out prayers on Sundays, and just the uniqueness of Phillip, I just connected with. I thought I've never really truly met a man that was both, good looking and a great soul. Mm. So, in that level, when, they put us together and they said, Trish, what do you feel about Phillip? I had to tell this man and this is at the beginning, but it was just like one of those things where I wanted to tell this man, if we never see each other again, coming from a woman, that believed in God, has raised her kids singly, that has been in and out of relationships, marriages, broken homes, things like that he is a good man. And he brought me to say, hey, I'm going to tell you how I feel. And when you speak, you make me want to go to church. You make me want to be even a better woman, because every day people don't get to tell each other those things, you know. And I just met him, and to me, coming from someone that doesn't know him, I just felt like I want to tell this man this, because it doesn't matter if we connect spiritually, romantically, anything. I'm going to tell him how I feel. They wanted me to tell him how he made me feel, and that's exactly how he made me feel. Throughout the show, he made me always feel comfortable. He was my best friend through it all. Like, as far as male figure, he was just a great human being. And you know, they didn't show all the dates that we had. I mean, there's a reason for that, but it wasn't like I just started crying over a man because he didn't want me romantically. It was a little embarrassing. Thanks, HBO, for that. But no, I just when they said to go tell him at the end, this is at the end, when Whitney had came and said, Mom, you better go get your man, you better tell him how you feel. It was a woman speaking, you know, to start my journey. And if I was going to start my journey after this show, what better man to start it with? So I thought, you know what, if he turns me down, he turns me down. But at least I came out with the best to tell someone that to. Right. You know, a good looking man with a big heart. And if I got shot down by him, look, my next one's going to be easy. You know what I mean?
I know that's right.
Yes. He was still saying you're a beautiful woman inside and out. Yes. You know, you truly are a good woman. So to me, him saying that meant more to me than him saying I was romantically connected to you. Yeah. I would rather be someone loving me for my insides than my outsides anyway. So I took it with a grain of salt, and I love him to death. So that's what happened with me and little Phillip, my holy water man.
So since you're talking about some dates that weren't shown, what were some other like potential connections between either the two of you or maybe some other castmates that we didn't get to see on screen?
There was quite a bit. Deneia, you go ahead and start that one.
I didn't have any other potential connections, although I said it on the show, like Scott was my third choice. Phillip was my first, and then Troy. I loved his personality. And we had a date, and we really connected, but I could tell that he was into Karen. And so a sister, you know, we weren't doing that. You like Karen? Okay, I'm going to move on. Yeah. He didn't say it, but you know, you could kind of see things going on in the house. And so I had a date with him. I had a date with the other Phil. But then the rest of my dates were with Scott, right? Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, because I didn't have any dates with Grant or with Joel. So yeah, but they didn't show those. Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe they were boring.
Maybe they just, you and Scott, since you did connect at the end, they're going to show more of that. And then me really not connecting romantically with any of them.
Most dates.
That's why they shot a lot of mine, because it's like, look, this sister, she's still good. She's cute. She's fun.
That's right.
We're going to show them all. We're going to show them all. So Grant, to me, that was the funniest. When I went on that float with Grant, I had never laughed so hard throughout the whole show with Grant. Like, I was laughing, not of embarrassment. I could care less who was watching. That was probably the most funniest moments that I had as far as being with one of the males. Joel in the bike situation, I couldn't help to laugh after. I wasn't laughing at him. It was just, I get like that. I get nervous. And then he's like, oh, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm one of those moms that just like, hey, we've got this, you know, cover it up. We're good. You know, so I didn't really mean to, you know, do that, but he's a great guy. So what other date? Phillip's, we had one where we had to gaze in each other's eyes. First of all, they set us out in the sun. Okay. Look at me. I'm sweating thinking about it. They set us out in the sun. I was in these black jeans. Okay. And they set us out in the sun. They said, look into it. Oh, crisscross applesauce. This is very important. We had to crisscross applesauce in front of each other, hold each other's hands. And they said, look into each other's eyes. Now, Deneia and Scott, I believe, had that same date.
We did.
But so we had to gaze into each other's eyes, and they said for 5 minutes, right?
5 minutes.
Ooh.
So I'm sitting here, first of all, crisscross applesauce, the sun is beaming on Trish. And I'm like, okay, so we had to start holding hands like this. And then we had to tell each other our insecurities about, you know, ourselves.
After the 5 minutes, we had questions to answer.
Yes. So Phillip said, it's his feet. And I said, your feet. And then I'm holding his hand, I guess an awkward way, because we just started holding hands. And after he says feet, right, he's like, I don't know, I can't, the way we're holding the hands. And I was like, well, I'm not holding your feet, Phillip. Like, so it was just like a funny moment there, and didn't mean to come out like that. Then my insecurity was like just getting older, like facing like, aging and things like that. I mean, as far as that's my insecurity, it's like you wake up one day and you're 46, and but that was 5 minutes there. And it was a very sweet, I totally suggest that in any relationship, maybe not out in the hot sun, but to literally gauge, in each other's eyes for 5 minutes and then start talking. Like, that's a very cool exercise. Then
it's a very vulnerable like environment that day. It sounds very like stripped down. Here's the real.
Yeah. It was awkward for me. Like when we first sat down, I was laughing. Because I'm like, oh my God. I'm thinking of 5 minutes is going to seem like it's so long. I was also in the hot sun. And then, they kept trying to make me do crisscross applesauce, but I had on a dress. I said, girl, it's not crisscross and applesauce with this dress on. So it was awkward. Like the first 2 minutes were awkward. So I was laughing and the producers were like, stop laughing. It's not funny. It's supposed to be a serious moment. I'm like, oh, sorry. So then I'm like this, trying to stop myself from laughing. And then maybe like for me, minute 4 was when I got comfortable, but Scott was just smiling and staring in my eyes, like from minute 2, like he just, I was like, oh, but I think it just made me, I don't know, it was awkward for me until the end. Like it got easier as it went on, but it was definitely a very vulnerable moment.
It is. It really is. It really, but it's a very good exercise.
Yeah.
I truly think that. And then they had another one, Phillip and I were they had us lay like they said to get on the bed and then like do some kind of other exercise. I can't remember.
The cuddle.
Yeah.
Was it the cuddle?
Oh. Yes. Yeah. It was the cuddle. Okay. So of course Trish is like, come on, Phillip, get up there on that bed. And I said that because at first, here's Phillip. So he has a card. I have a card. And they're like, you guys can get up on the bed and then you're going to cuddle for 5 minutes. And then I don't know if it was, I think it was after how you would cuddle, how you would normally cuddle or not cuddle something. Well, Phillip is like, I don't, and I'm thinking, I said, Phillip, get up on that bed. Get up. You can cuddle. Like, do you not want to touch me? Like, come on, get up there and let's cuddle for 5 minutes. So he did, he got on the bed and we cuddled for 5 minutes. I don't know if what they expected, like people to laugh, maybe romantically kiss, but you got cameras around, whatever. But we did. I thought he was going to fall asleep though, y'all. I did. Cause just like Deneia, like she says, like he falls asleep in a minute sometimes, he's just tired. It's exhausting, looking good, but he didn't fall asleep.
He didn't.
And he, I'll let him tell the story just cause I don't know if he wants that story told, but it's nothing. Right. It's just funny what he said. I'll give a little hint. Let's just say after we got to say how we would cuddle, Phillip had to make sure after we cuddled, because I took his hand and I had him group me and hold like this. And we really did 5 minutes, not say anything. We just breathing. After the fact, then Phillip is like, well, basically, let me tell you how I would have normally cuddled. And I'm like, well, go ahead, Phillip, go ahead and say. And he's like, well, I would have did this and that. And I'm like, holy water.
Oh, we need an expose from Phillip. We need to know what he said.
I said holy water. Holy water. Did y'all get that? Like, they didn't show it, but let me tell you, Phillip would be a good cuddler. It ain't cuddling though.
Trish, when we do the reunion, we have to have him say what he said.
Yeah, because I don't know, I want to keep it safe with him because I don't know, let's just say he would be a good cuddler.
All right,
a good before and after
nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. But he didn't try with me or no, but I mean, it's okay. I mean, at least I knew I could visualize, I could visualize what old holy water would do.
I love it. A couple of people are saying they love the show. They binge the show. That's great. Guys, keep drumming up some press for the show. Show them some love. Their Instagrams are below, as you can see as well. But Lola Lucky has a question and said, did any of you ladies know what you signed up for before coming on the show?
No. I mean, we knew that it was a dating show, but we didn't know that the kids were going to be meddling. So we thought that the kids were going to go to somewhere else and create content about being parents of children of broken homes, children of divorce. And so that we thought they were creating that content as we were dating. So we definitely didn't know that they were going to be meddling, but we knew that it was a dating show.
Yep. Same thing. I had no idea. I just knew that, going through the interviews before we get on the show, They talk about, how much you want love, just a bunch of things that you have to go through. So other than that, when they dropped us off at the house, the kids, we had no idea what was going to go on, like how many people,
Nope.
how many moms, how many dads, was it going to be, we had no idea. You just walk into the house and then they just start popping up.
Okay. So you guys are talking about a lot of behind the scenes that unfortunately we the fans did not get to see. So I want to know a little bit of the drama. We saw a little bit, just a tiny little bit here and there with maybe like the Truth or Dare. They had, who was it? It was Troy sitting on Denea's lap. I said, oh. And then Troy was licking stuff off of Trisha's arm. I said, oh. They're really trying to spice it up.
Like,
what other things did we
Great.
not get to see drama wise?
So there was this one night, it was the night that Phil left, and we all were outside in the patio area, and we were just all talking about the moments that we had with Phil. Remember this, Trish?
Yes, I'm writing. I'm just like,
and so we were just sharing our moments, and Stephanie, who had I think only been with him one day, I think she got her foot massage and he was out the next day. She was just talking about Phil. And so so the funny thing about reality TV is you're in this space. We were in this space with these people for a week. And like I really felt like I feel like I know Phil. And so when Stephanie was talking about Phil, I was really getting mad. Like, how dare you take over this conversation? And this is my best friend. So I didn't say anything at that moment. But later, the four girls, because I don't know where Karen was, but the Kiki, myself, Trish, and Stephanie, we were all in the room, and Stephanie and I were going at it. Like we were going at it about Scott because she was trying to tell me how Scott was and what she thought about him, and I was defending Scott. Damn, I mean, we were going at it, and then she was talking about Phil. It was a really heated moment, but the good thing is, because we are all adults, it got heated.
Yeah.
But then it was like a whole 360.
Mm-hmm.
So we all ended up on Kiki's bed, and we ended up really talking about life, apologizing to each other, and it was more of Stephanie kind of didn't feel what was the word? She didn't feel included with the first group. And so she felt like we were excluding her, and I was, and Scott was, and she didn't have time with any of us. And so that's kind of where some of her things stem from. But it was very heated on that.
It was very heated. And I
heard
remember
the camera was like above the bed. And then when it started to get real heated, I heard the camera go, and I looked up and it was like right down on us.
Yeah.
So they're definitely going to show this, but they didn't because it was hot. I mean,
it did. I mean, there was a lot more like said and things, going on. And I remember they were still kind of going on it, but we were still on Kiki's bed. So we have 5 bunk beds, 5 little beds in one room. And all of a sudden we're in Kiki's room or Kiki's bed. And I said, look right now, guys, this is what it's about. Look, when we walked in this room, we were like, how are we going to all fit in here? We're women. We got clothes. This is crazy. And I said, and we're all talking on one bed. Like, this is such a great thing that happened. And then it was just like, we love you. We're all just tired. And, the emotions that like Deneia said, and this is so true. So I want to point it out. When you're only there for 1 week, but you have no cell phones, you have no communication to the outside world, nothing, and it's just you and the people, then that 1 week, like one day is like 1 month because it's a constant knowing each other in and out. So, I mean, it is. So 1 week to us was like months. So when she did come in, I feel that.
When you guys are saying you were there 1 week, you mean the process was a week?
No,
that night.
Was there
at that time. Okay.
Yes.
At that time.
Came in maybe like a week and a half later.
Yeah.
So
yes.
We all felt like we were best friends. Like I was talking to my mic and I would say, this is because we thought the name of the show was going to be Second Chance Retreat. So I would be like, this is Second Chance Retreat Friends Edition. This is boring. Like, because we just got along so well.
Yeah.
And it was really no drama really. Until later. Like, Trish, you want to talk about when Trish almost left? I was in the bathroom singing Jesus music because I was so upset. Like it was a lot. I stopped Trish from leaving. Trish
there was some things.
Room.
I packed. I packed up all my stuff.
Everything was packed.
I was gone.
Sorry, knowing what you know now, would you rather it be the way that it was edited? So the wholesome, wow, look at these parents, second chance, or would you have liked it to be a little bit more like reality TV tends to be?
Not as much drama, but I
Yeah.
think so. Say with the instance with Stephanie and I, where it got heated, I think if they show bits and pieces of that and how, because what made it different is we had a full 360 moment and we
Yeah.
were able to
Mhm.
talk through our differences. And
To
I think
show how
people
to
our
be.
age, like, I mean, of course, everybody likes a little drama, but they also love the conversation. And so I think if we would have been able to show like the, not the whole conversation, but show how we started one way and ended another way,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it
because
to
that's
me it
real.
would be more realistic because I
Yeah.
mean
Mm.
you didn't really see any drama. Of course, there was a little bit. It wasn't like the drama that we had
Even
wasn't
that. Yeah.
major. Nobody was fighting or anything like that. But I think it would make the show a little bit more realistic.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think it shows that, it's the truth when you're living in a house with, other women and other men, and you're the first ones to come in the house, that shows our opinion of being the first one. Stephanie is coming in because to me, I said even today, I'm so glad I came in first and not second
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think I could have handled being the second people coming in if
Mm-hmm.
everybody's already started creating bonds.
Yeah.
So, I think it would have shown how each of them felt. But then at the end of the day, mature women coming together and saying, look, it's not even a big deal. We're all tired. We're all stressed. That's human. This is nature. This is life.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
to me, showing those kind of arguments that end up in a good situation, things like that should be shown, just like the day that I was leaving, it was when Karen left, it was a big situation. And, I don't know. I'm not going to say because I'm not for sure if like I can say about that part, but I will say I did have all my stuff packed. I was leaving. I went upstairs packing my stuff. Tania was in the bathroom singing gospel songs. And I was like, okay, God, I get it. I'm not leaving, So she comes out and she's like, you can't leave me. And I'm like, oh, I'm not, because it's just a lot. Like it doesn't seem like it should be, but mentally and physically,
Yeah.
we just came out of quarantine for 2 weeks. When we got to LA, we had to quarantine in a hotel by ourselves.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Then 2 weeks straight from into a home and staying up 16 hours, if not more, a day. Like it's not just, a job and you go to sleep when you want and wake up when you want.
Right.
It's like it is a job, basically. I mean, a reality job. Like you got to get up, you got to film. If you have
Yeah.
to pee, you got to wait. That's real stuff. It's tiring.
No, I hear that. Someone's asking, Paulina's asking, how long has it been since the show has
Hey,
wrapped,
Paulina.
and is there going to be a reunion?
Um, the show ended in what, August?
It was August, I
First
believe.
week of August.
First week of August.
And HBO is not going to give us a reunion, but Trish and I
Mhm.
are going to do our own.
Just got the approval because we
Yes.
still have to contact them and make sure that we're approved. We just got the approval that we will be having a reunion show. We're getting it together. It's gonna be lots of fun.
Nice.
It'll be themed. So we'll let everybody know. We'll shout it out when we have the time and the date. We're getting with the other cast members to make sure that they're going to be available. So sometimes you just got to do things on your own, and that's exactly
Listen.
what Deneia and I are doing. To keep it continued and show everyone where everybody is and where they stand.
Yeah, and we want to know. The fans genuinely want to
That's
know.
only fair.
So.
Look,
Yeah.
we ain't giving up on y'all. We ain't giving up on love either. Okay?
No, not at all.
So Fusion Love Stories is asking, is the whole cast still in touch? I would assume so if you guys are having a reunion. And how are the
Yes.
kids? How about the kids?
The kids are staying in touch. I believe, they all have their group message. They all love each other just like the family does. Our family, we have a group chat that we stay in. We're all thinking about not only the reunion, getting it together, but all having a vacation together.
Yeah.
So we said we'll take the second chance retreat to the third chance, some of them single chance, and I got more singles on my side now. You know what I mean? So we're going to take it and we're going to have, what we say? We said holy water. Phillip's going to take over
planning it.
We gave him
Yeah,
that
he's gonna
job
plan it.
to pick where. I think the last he said was Costa Rica, to all get together and go on vacation together. So that'll be in the mixing too.
Yep.
Okay. So since we're talking about the kids, I'm going to touch back on the show a little bit. There were some moments where we saw some protective child moments, and that's okay, as kids are, Trish, when you had the date with Joel, his name is Joel, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When you had the date with Joel, looking back, what are your thoughts on the date as a whole, and how do you feel like Whitney handled, just the whole
The
time.
whole situation,
Yes.
yes. Um, the date with Joel. Listen, I'm already backwards. The Joel would date. It's when I fell off the bike. It was I was when I first seen Joel coming from afar because they just put me in a car. They were like, you know, and I thought, where am I going? You know, they put me in this little workout outfit. So I thought, Lord Jesus, we're gonna go work out, but I got this. They put me in the car. We go. I see Joel from a distance, and then we pull up, and he's like, let's ride this tandem bike or whatever. We did. We fell. Um, Poor Whitney, I did not know until later that when me and Joel got to the dinner date, that the lights, they had to control the lights to stay on. Um, I thought at the moment that I was having that dinner with Joel, I was just like a friend zone. Like I could tell, like I already knew, like this is going to be a friend for me. As you know, as we seen that he did too. So we weren't feeling that romantic thing either.
Yeah.
But little did I know that Whitney was trying her little hardest to keep that date
Keep the
going.
lights on.
And when I seen the show, because I didn't see that, I broke down crying seeing Whitney break down that much. You know, I was just like, God, Whitney, I just love her so much. But when the little Muppet incident that Brooks had said, it did damper on Whitney. So she had, came back with something else, protecting her
Yeah.
mother, I will say the way that it was edited, and I do stand for Brooks and always will, because I do know that kid personally. He's a great kid, and he was nervous, and things he shouldn't have said comes out. I mean, it comes out. I say stuff I don't mean
Yeah.
off of guard, and it's just captured at that moment.
Mhm.
So, I want everyone to know I truly love Brooks. Whitney loves Brooks. She actually even asked the producers to take that part out for him
Oh,
because she loves him so
wow.
much. Because
Mhm.
he is a great kid. It didn't, it's just the way it was. Did it come out of his mouth? Yes, but it's, all to your own and whatnot. But he's a great kid. But I think that overall, what it taught Whitney is she was fighting for her mom
Mm-hmm.
to go on this date and continue. So that to me just shows women, men, kids, relationships, that this is the bonds that you create with your children.
Yeah.
Start them at an early age. This is life, and this is reality for real. That's that bond that me and Whitney have, and I'm just so blessed to have her. So I mean, yeah.
I honestly loved watching her take up for you, and even just the way that she would sometimes get emotional when referring to you. I was like, this looks just like me. I have so much love for my mom, and I've realized that this
Yes.
actually isn't something common. So to see it, to
No,
see the representation of
unfortunately.
you and your daughter on screen, it was so heartwarming, and I loved it. Yeah, that was great.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I
Whitney's so
love that.
sweet.
I think
Didn't
it
you tell
does.
me Whitney got sick after riding the bike so much?
Yeah, because she was
That
trying
Oh.
she
so hard, and poor little Whitney, she don't, I mean, it looks like she works out, but the poor girl don't. So she was, I mean, trying so hard. She ended up, I think, going to the bathroom and getting sick because she was
Wow.
really, really trying to keep them lights on for me, and she didn't know that I'm thinking, I would have said, cut him out. Like, and Joel agrees, like, we're fine. Like, we'll just be friends till the end, man. Don't do it. Don't do it. But no, she literally got sick. I think it had to do with riding the bike, her emotions, seeing that
Mhm.
she even said she felt like she failed me. And that just broke
Oh.
my heart, because I'm thinking,
Mhm.
Whitney, you will never fail your mom. But
Mm-hmm.
just seeing that love, I appreciate you even saying it, Q, that like that's just the love between your kids, man. That's what life is.
Yeah.
So
Most definitely. Speaking of protective children, we have to talk about Miles. We have to talk about Miles. So, a common theme we were seeing throughout the season was that Miles really wanted you to go with Phillip, Deneia, but you
Mhm.
gravitated towards Scott. And there was a lot of commentary that was said that
Mhm.
we as the fans didn't quite understand. So, could you explain to us, why was Miles not on board?
Well, it was a couple reasons. And so we did a live. Actually, I did a live with my daughter and my ex-husband and Miles. And we kind of talked about, just to like break it down and not be too long. We broke it down to two things. One, Miles was rooting for Phillip Sr. because it reminded him of his grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was safe, right? And so Scott reminded him of some of the things that had happened to me in the past. So it was like, so people were making it like a black and white issue, and it was really like a safe versus risky issue. It's
Okay.
safe. He reminds me of my grandfather. He's a good guy. At that time, Phillip had not shared anything that he had done in any of his relationships. So, of course, everybody loves a little holy water.
Mm.
And Scott has shared so many things. Some of them that were aired on the show, and some of them they didn't. Where Scott had cheated on his ex-wives. He said that on the show. And I had been cheated on by Miles' dad. Scott had ended his relationship with his ex-wife 3 weeks before the show, and had been going back and forth with her for 10 years.
Wow.
So I was saying that, Scott has shared a lot of these things, which were triggers to Miles. The fact that he cheated, that he ended it with his ex-wife 3 weeks before the show, all of these things that made Miles feel like he wouldn't be serious about me. And, I talked about on my live how when I got separated, I think Miles was 5 and his sister was 7. And so when I rewatched the show, it just reminded me of like 5-year-old Miles. And so divorce can be traumatic. And the pain that I went through, my kids also experienced and went through as well. And so I think Miles was like, I don't want my mother to go through this pain again, and I don't want to go through it either. And so I know a lot of those things weren't shown. So it made Miles seem like he was a hater.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. He was just protecting his mom. We have a really
mama's
close
boy.
connection. Yeah, we have a really close connection. And even my daughter, when she watched the show, she was like, I saw a couple red flags. I probably would have been very similar to Miles. And she didn't see everything that Miles had saw and heard.
Yeah.
All right, this layout is just gonna have to work, or we're gonna be here forever trying to figure it out. You would think I'm like 80 the way I'm struggling right now.
No,
it's okay.
Girl, look, I can't even barely hop on, okay? I was like, oh, Lord, where's my nephew?
Okay. So, as we all know, you ended the season, Deneia, choosing Scott. Where does that stand? Now, I'm sure we can kind of guess based off of the conversation, but what happened there?
What happened? I think, once we got out the outside world, we just realized that we would be better friends. Then we tried to date, I think we probably dated maybe like a month and a half after the show. And I say distance and differences just didn't allow us to stay together. It had nothing to do with MJ. It's probably.
All right, we can respect that. You don't have to dish us too much. We understand privacy. It's all good. Are there any other couples who are still together, or has everyone gone their separate ways?
No, I think Karen and Troy, they had a big reveal with what magazine was that? People. They had a big exclusive on People.
They're still together.
So they're still together, and I don't know if Kiki and Grant said if they were or not. So I don't know if we can share because I don't know if they've said it out loud yet what they're doing.
All right. So, Trish, we know that you did not make a romantic connection, but you did find a lifelong friendship in Deneia. What kind of bonded you guys during the season? Just tell us about this love story. This is a love story I'm invested in.
I don't want to steal what is it, Scott's words, but as soon as she walked into the house, you just know that connection, and just her smile, everything I already know. Like I can read off people's presence as well. And then it was just, we took off from the very beginning. Like she would have my back, I would have hers. Like we started getting to the point where we had known each other forever. And the first day we were kind of like finishing each other's sentences. Or if I started a song, then she was singing at the same time. We're like, whoa, girl, this is weird. Like God set us up to be there for sure. Because,
literally one time we sang the same verse of the same song at the same time. Mind you, there's no music. She didn't sing it first and I just chimed in. It was weird. We were like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so like a lot of the times, you know, when I would feel defeated or just emotionally down, like Deneia was always there to be like, come on girl, come on, we got this. And then we just, and then we would just connect again and be like, okay, we got it. And so it was just a connection that just literally started from the first few hours of the show, like getting on the show. Like then after that it was, it's almost like we felt bad, not too bad, but for the other girls, because we were like, no, we clicked from day second minute into the show. Like we already knew we were besties, like coming from, we said, what did I say? She's my sister from another mister. I even questioned my dad when I got home. I'm like, so where you been? Because that's my sister. Okay. I know you was in the Navy, boo. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
But she truly, I don't know. We just clicked. And
no, but what was funny was when we were quarantined for the 2 weeks, we had I don't even know what they call them, our chaperones, I don't know. So we could go, when we were quarantined, we were able to go on a walk for 45 minutes or to the pool for 45 minutes or to work out for 45 minutes. And our chaperone would say, Deneia, there's a mom. I can't tell you any names. I can't tell you what she looks like. I can't say anything else about her. But it was a couple of them that would say, you guys are going to be good friends. Oh, wow. They're like, you have the same type of spirit, the same type of personality. Yeah. It was more than one chaperone that would say that. And when I met Trish, I'm like, I know it was her.
Yeah, I knew it was me too. They would do the same thing. They'd say, listen, you guys are like the same. Like you're going to end up loving this girl, this woman. And then as soon as I met Deneia, I was like, that's who they were talking about. I knew it. There'd be some that said, you probably ain't gonna like this one that much, but I'm just giving some tea just a little bit, but they were true on that too.
They were. And we probably talked about each other too much in our confessionals. That's why you didn't see a lot of the confessionals on the show, because I was always like, and my best friend Trish and and they're like,
they probably wanted to kick me off the show.
Tell me about Scott. And I'm like, and my best friend, I just love her.
Yeah, I know. They was probably like, Trish, you're here to find love, not a best friend. I'm like, I know, but I found her first, and then she's gonna help me find my man.
Exactly.
So we're talking about like second season. Yeah, like second season, how me and Deneia, she gonna help me find my man on the second one.
So I remember, Deneia, you kind of made a comment saying that I think it was early in their interview saying like, oh, Trish, you didn't think you would find like friendship this later on with people having lives settled down and stuff like that. Why did you have that thought process for you, Trish? Why did you think that was, Trish.
Oh, is it to me? Yeah. Well, with me, I do live in a small town. So I've lived here, for the last 20 some, long time. And, I've had some not so good friendships, that I thought that were long lasting ones that I've known since, 20 something years. And kind of broke me more than some of my marriages, my couple of marriages, that kind of cheated on, so it's hard to in where I live, to find new friends that you can trust, so me going into the house, it was just like, oh gosh, I hope I can trust someone, and in life, just in general, like Deneia said, just in life in general, it's hard for me to trust not only men, but then it was really kind of more for friendship. So, finding a friendship, on the show to me just meant more than falling in love with a man sometimes, because you need a good friend, and, so I found one. So I was truly blessed I didn't find my true man love, but I did find a true best friend, on the show. And you gotta, girls gotta have a best friend,
It's necessary.
So I'm very blessed to have done that. And it was kind of like my second chance of letting another woman in to be a friend, because, a lot of mine have to, done some things to me, and I truly trust Deneia and everything about her. So, it's that second chance of taking chances of anything in life. It doesn't necessarily have to be men.
I love that.
She even came to my 45th birthday party in Cancun.
I did.
With all my other girlfriends.
Had a blast.
I have a question, and this could be like, it's for me, but it could also probably help somebody else. When you have a history of mistrust, a history of being betrayed, how do you get to a point where you let love in, whether it's romantic or platonic? How do you open yourself up again? Because it's hard, it's scary, and especially when you are older, you just kind of get used to that being the pattern. Like just letting that wall down. What was your process, to both of you? What was your process in just letting love back in and trusting again?
Ooh, listen. First of all, like you said, it is very hard. And for me, it took a long time, because my ex-husband was like, I met him my first year of college. And we were together for 14 years. I was with him, you know, well, that's another story. But anyway, we were together. Then I had my daughter, and then I had my son. And it was like, this was the first, you know, I had loves in high school, but this was probably the first person I truly ever loved, and that I've given my whole self to. And then I felt like I was so damaged after we got divorced and after the cheating that I felt like I could never, ever give like another man that trust ever again in life. And so what I had to realize was it wasn't just him cheating on me. It was what I also allowed. And once I realized it was like I had a part in that, not that I'm saying that I made him go cheat on me, but when it happened again and I stayed, and it happened again and I stayed, that was me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I felt like I loved him. I wanted to stay together for my kids. My parents were married until my dad passed away. So I didn't want that, you know, I didn't know what a separate or divorced life looked like. And so, you know, but part of it was me. So I had to really do a lot of self-work to trust myself again, to build myself up again. And that was doing like a lot of affirmations, really like watching a lot of, if I was watching TV, watching positive things, keeping positive people around me in my life. Because once you do that work, it's easy to go back into that space when one thing happens. And so it's like it's a consistent fight for yourself. Like, I'm worthy, I'm worth it. And so you have to continuously push and know that you are worthy of a new love. You're worthy to have love in your life, because when you go through divorce, it's like a trauma for you and your kids. And when you go through that, sometimes you feel like you're not worthy of being loved again. And sometimes you just feel like I can't do it, because how can I open myself up? Because if I do, you automatically think, oh, they're going to cheat on me. Oh, this is going to happen. They're going to break my heart. But when you start to do that self-work, and you start to believe that I am worthy, then all these positive things start to come into your life, and you believe that you are worthy of love. And so for me, it was a lot of years of a lot of self-work and forgiveness. Like, I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive my ex-husband. And so like, we're at a place now, which people think is weird. We have like a really good blended family. I am friends with his wife. I go to her birthday parties. I'm always over their house. I go celebrate. He has 2 younger kids. They have babies together, whether it's 5 and 4, or 4 and 3, something like that. But I go over there, and we have a good bond. Like, even when I had him in my life, people are like, "You had Jeff on your live?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, we generally like love each other now.
That's beautiful.
But it took a lot of work from all of us, but it really takes work on self, because we can't always play victim when things happen to us, because we do play a part in some of it. Now, I'm not saying that I took him to the girl's house to go cheat, but I did play a part in some of it. You know what I mean? Whether it was me not, you know, asking him about his day, or being involved in what he was really, you know, involved in. We play a part in some kind of way. And, you know, and then you can't move on if you don't forgive.
Yeah.
Now, everybody doesn't have to be in a blended family, and everybody doesn't have to be friends, but you have to forgive, really, in order to move on, or it's going to harbor you. So,
yeah,
self-work is what I had to do. What about you, Trish?
Yeah, pretty much same thing. You got to love yourself. Like, you got to get back to loving yourself. And I think with my experiences, it was just like I forgot who I was, you know, who I am, how important I am, how awesome I am. And you forget that, because the more that you get into these relationships that are broken, and they do things to you, you forget, like Deneia said, the woman I am today would have left that man yesterday. Like, the woman I am today would have told that man to leave. So the woman that I was yesterday dealt and processed and learned. So I don't take anything that's ever happened in my life back. But what I do is, like Deneia said, I own up to being the woman I am now, and wished I could have been that woman then, but I wouldn't be as strong as I am now to tell that man, wait a minute, you didn't come home to win? You didn't call me here? And it's not even like that. It's like, when they put you in that life perspective, even though I was the woman that stayed at home and, oh, what do you need? Well, you know, that's fine. But the respect that was lacking, that I didn't understand that I deserved, would not be that woman today, because I wouldn't give him the second chance. It would be like, look, it's already red flag. I'm out, because I do deserve what I deserve now, because I've already been through that. You know, I've learned. I gave in what I had to give in to get to where I am today, you know, and I already proven to myself that, you know, that it wasn't just him, it was me. And now I am a different woman. So you learn, you let go, and know your self-worth, like Deneia said. And I just think you grow, you forgive, and always know that you are important. You are, there is another man or another friend out there. You don't have to keep trying to mold. You don't need to mold other people to be your friend, to love,
or beg anybody to be into your life.
Yes, if you have to mold anyone or want them a certain way to fix your needs, you don't need them. So I think that's just all what you learn, and you do. You got to start loving yourself and being that independent woman, knowing mentally, physically that you deserve the world.
And the right person will come in your life.
And keep being
humble.
humble.
Will love you for all of your flaws and all. Love
that's
you for
right.
who
That's
you
right.
are.
And you're still gonna mess up today.
Change who you are to be with anybody.
That's right. That's right.
I love how both of you ladies touched on how accountability is two-sided. It's holding the person accountable for, you know, maybe the betrayal that had happened, but also yourself, and saying that, did I play a part? And in that, I have to own up to that as well. And also, I think from your end, Trish, I'm hearing more of setting more boundaries and being like sticking to those boundaries, sticking to your standards, and knowing that I am worth more than what I'm currently experiencing. So I'm listening to you guys talking about dating, and I'm just wondering, like, do you guys feel like dating is easier now? Was it easier then? Because we are all struggling. I'm telling you, that's a common theme on this channel. Everybody's struggling with dating. Do you guys think it's easier now?
I'm waiting for them to open up the third chance retreat.
Yeah.
Or the next group of guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to keep going on reality shows until I find one.
Love is Blind.
Hit me up.
Like 50 and older. Well,
that's what I said.
Do it.
That's what I said. Listen. They need, listen. You hear this out in the atmosphere. There needs to be a Love is Blind for the older, you know, a little bit, not even older. Just look.
Start here.
You want to love me for me, boo? Put me behind the screens. Everybody loves Trish. Well, they ain't taking me home. So let's do a little Love is Blind, Phillip.
Y'all heard it here first. Okay, I know somebody asked a question if you guys would be on any other shows, and it's sounding like that's affirmative, potentially.
Oh, that's a plus.
I mean, it was fun. No, literally, it was fun. It was, you know, as nervous as I was. I mean, I was literally so nervous. I was looking. So my daughter, she would try to prep me for the show, saying like, okay, how are you going to walk in the house? So I would come in from like the grocery store, and she would like, act like you're walking into the house. And so I was watching videos yesterday, and I'm like, I really was so nervous about just saying hello. Like it was, you know, but it was a fun experience. And I don't know if it's because the producers and everybody that we worked with was really nice. Like everybody
really
made it a really, really good experience. And I don't know if everybody on reality TV has that experience.
Right.
But it was a really good experience. We had fun. I mean, waking up to the pool every morning and not worrying about
beautiful scene. Like the people were amazing.
So
everyone
if I can have another good experience like that, I would do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
Absolutely.
if I would I would do it again. I think I would.
Okay, so you guys are mothers, of course. You have to be a mother to be on the show. I'm wondering, how do you prioritize yourself? So, of course, the show was about finding romantic love, but self-love is the most important. So, being a mom, especially Trish touching on, sometimes you lose yourself. How do you guys prioritize fun? How do you guys prioritize self-care? All of that. Just being a mother at this age. How does Trish put Trish first? How does Deneia put Deneia first?
Yeah. I think I think just like anything, when the kids were younger, but now my kids are all older, so I can really reflect just on me right now. And then I can go and say, hey kids, what are you doing? So that's part of life. Like we've already been through that, getting the kids ready for school and, you know, and having to put them first on a daily basis. So we've already put our time into that, and now our kids are grown. So now we can say, hey, I'm going to get up and I can put my face mask on and I can have my coffee first, because this is that time of our life, because we've already put that timing in. So it's actually easier now. We don't have, the priorities of, with our children and things. So it's a lot easier. So now you can just start focusing on yourself, what you want to do, putting your priorities first, in a sense.
But I do want to say, for those like new moms or moms who have younger kids, to at least try to find 10 minutes out of the day for yourself. Because I was definitely one of those moms that I always say I was the mom. I was at every basketball game, every football game. My daughter was a basketball manager. I was at those games, every concert. I mean, there was not an event that I wasn't at. But I didn't realize I was pushing myself to the back until they went off to school. And so now I'm an empty nester. And when I first became an empty nester, I'm like, oh, shoot, what do I do now? Because I never really did. I mean, I would go out to dinner with my friends, but I never really did anything for myself. So, I was refining who I was outside of Madison and Miles.
That's
so
the hardest part.
So always, I would say now, of course, because I'm out of it, if you can, like even 10 minutes a day to meditate, or 10 minutes a day to read your favorite book, or watch a clip of the Housewives, or, Queen E's YouTube, do something that will make you feel good. And that's just about you, because sometimes when you're a single mom, it is hard to carve out that time for yourself. But now that my kids are older and doing their own thing, I realized that I didn't make that time for me, that I only made the time for them. So it's important.
It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
Very hard to do when they're growing up.
Date yourself once a month, even if you did it once a month, a massage once a month. Figure out something that you can do for you as a mom, even if you're married. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom when I was married, and I still, same thing.
Yeah.
It was him or them, and it was never me. So always, 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 always find time for yourself.
No, I love that. I'm seeing that too with my parents. They're obviously now empty nesters. And I'm looking at my mom like, I'm envious of your life. What is going on? She's taking trips with her boo thing, which is my dad. I'm like, okay, must be nice. I have a question before we go. What did you guys learn about yourselves through this show, through the process?
I think for myself, I learned that I'm a lot more shy than I thought. I mean, being a content creator, I'm always out there talking to people, but it's behind a camera. So when I get out there in the world and meeting new friends and going out on dates, even if it was being filmed, I've noticed I was a lot more shy than what I thought, because I thought I was very open. And then when it came to during things like, when Joel asked me, he said, do you, what was it? Do you take risk? And then all of a sudden I was like, no, I don't take any risk. I'm watching it back and I'm like, I'm the most risk-taking person. I mean, I have risked, if I only had 25 cents in my account, I'm spending it, So I'm the most risk taker. And then, so I just did not realize how much of an introvert I was when it came to being there, because I was the one going, hey, I'm talking and I'm a talker. And then all of a sudden when the cameras are on me, I'm just like making up shit in my head that I didn't even know. Like I'm the biggest risk taker, and said, no. Yeah, I said, no, I just normally don't take risks. And I'm like,
but do you think that was like a culmination of the environment too? Like the cameras, the people, the producers, all that stuff?
Yes. I think it has a lot to play. I do. But I mean, but still, even overall, I guess I haven't went. I mean, everybody I dated, I'm mainly married. So I haven't even been out on like a lot of dates my whole life, because, I was married, and if I did, unfortunately get a divorce, then I would meet someone, date them for years, and then marry them. So I've never really honestly dated, like to be on a date and then go home. So that alone was awkward for me. So I don't know. I think I was a little bit more shy than I thought, I think.
Wait, so now are you dabbling more into the dating scene? Yes.
I haven't yet, girl, but I'm ready.
Okay.
Listen, I'm gonna be ready. Like, call me, DM
ready.
me.
That's
I'm a challenge them. Like, I ain't scared now, because I'm like, what's the worst case?
Exactly.
If you can go on a reality show and you can't find love, listen, it's all up from here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. For me, this will probably seem a little weird, but I think I realized going on the show that back to that self-love, that I am worth it. From the time we found out about the show, I think I was denying myself the opportunity. I kept telling Miles, like, they're not going to pick me. They're going to typecast me as the ghetto Black girl. They're going to do this, or they're not going to like that my hair is natural, or all these things I kept saying about myself as to why I wouldn't be picked. And I think what I realized is that I was worth it.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that I wasn't worth it, but so many other people applied for the show. There were people still left in the hotel that didn't make it onto the show.
Oh, wow.
And I was cast. I was in the first group. And, you know, it was just like, for me, it was a reaffirming moment to say, like, Deneia, you are worth it.
Important.
And continue to take those steps and to continue to, you know, go out of your comfort zone to achieve all of those things that you were afraid of before. Because this, I always say, this was something I would have never, ever done. I got that push from MJ because he loves the camera. And you know what I mean? Like, he wants to be in front of the camera. He was like, no, Mom. Once he found out the kids were going to be on, he's like, Mom, we are doing this. And I'm like, no, Miles, they're not going to pick me, or they're going to pick me because you're so handsome and you have that look. Like, and I just kept downplaying myself because I didn't think that, you know, that I was worth it. And and so what I learned was that I am.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
worth it. I'm worth it. I'm worth it.
I was going to say it one more time.
I'm worth it.
I love
We're
that.
worth it.
I love that. Before we go, anybody else who still has questions, throw them in right now before I let the ladies off. Favorite moments?
I think
I had so many. It was some that weren't shown. Like, we had this big pool party when the kids came over to the house, this dance party. I mean, we were on the hot tub dancing, and the Trish had on her bikini and she jumped in the pool. Like, all the kids jumped in. And it was the kids and the parents. Like, we did a Soul Train line with the kids. It was so, like, that day was so fun. I'm surprised they didn't show it.
I know.
And then another one was before we went on the show, they had us interview on the couch. We had like a bunch of interviews on the couch, and they did a lot of, not to prolong the show, but they did a lot of back work. So they asked about like the divorce, and they asked about, you know, how Miles felt about me. And Miles has said some things about me in the interview where that he thought that, his words, you know, he gives you 3 words, but he thought that I was tough because of how I had overcome the divorce and had become friends with his father. And he said to watch me grow through that. He said he thought that I was tough and a strong woman. And that was like one of my favorite moments on the show. I mean, I know we have a close connection, but Miles has never said like, Mom, I think that you are so strong to be able to, you know, be uncomfortable because you want us to be happy, even though we're adults. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and so that was one of my favorite moments. What about you, Trish?
I think one of my ultimate favorite, and I've thought about it a lot. I always said it was when we were in the bedroom, when you guys were having that little bickering, and we all ended up on the bed talking, you know, and all that. That's one of my really good moments. But I think it was on my birthday when I was upstairs getting ready, and then I call them my family, the cast, they were downstairs preparing for my birthday. You know, so I know, being on the show and being cast on the show, they had to prepare to say, hey, we need some streamers for tomorrow. So they had to go out and reach out to, you know, the producers to get these things to do that for my birthday. And I think at that moment, this is when I knew that these were the friends that I could trust, that these are my friends that, you know, took all their time and was going to do this, not just for TV. Like, this was a true felt moment of that bonding experience for me. So that's probably one of my favorite, just them all. Hey, I mean, they made me feel like a queen for the what was it, 15, 20 minutes. They're like, Trish, what do you want? You want a bagel? You want this? And I'm like, oh, I'm loving this. Like, they treated me like a queen, like and just like when Whitney had said, you know, my mom is a queen. They did that. They truly treated me like a queen on my birthday. And I think that's probably one of my most memorable, like, favorite moments.
Okay. Were there any regrets? So maybe things that you said, or maybe how you were portrayed, or are you guys completely content with how everything came out?
I think I'm content. I wish they would have showed more of my personality. I was shy, but I had moments where I wasn't. Like there was a moment, Kiki and I had a black girl magic moment. That's one of my favorite moments too. We were playing charades, and I was trying to think of some Universal movies that everybody could guess. But I would do one thing, like I did like this, and Kiki was like Love Jones, and then I did like this, and Kiki was like Color Purple, and then I did something like this, and Kiki was like what's love got to do with it? Like she was guessing them like that. And then she got up and we gave each other dap like this. And it was so fun. And then it was one, we had a double date with Troy and Karen. Scott and I had a double date with those two, and we were playing checkers, I think. And it was like an intense game. And Scott and I ended up winning because Troy missed this. He missed this thing. And like I got up and I got in his face and we joked about thank you for your time, like after that. And so I gave him a kiss on his cheek after I won. I was like, thank you for your time. But it was like such a fun moment. So I wish they would have shown more of my personality and not just me playing with my hair and looking at Scott like
Any regrets, Trish?
I don't think there's any regrets because everything that I said, that they might have put it in a different part or something, but I mean, I don't have any regrets. I think that if I could have maybe I don't know. I don't think I have really any regrets. I do wish they would, like Deneia said, showed a lot more of so it's not my regret. I do regret that the show didn't show some more of like the dates that had went on, because I hate that it looked like I was so, like, I don't know if people thought it was like an infatuation with Phillip or what, because all of a sudden it goes from me saying he wants me to go to church, or I want to go to church more because of him, and then me crying, and that's it. But there's nothing in between. So it's really not my regret. It's more I regret that they didn't show a lot of the bonding friendship. And it was truly just a friendship, but there was a lot of really cool moments with me and Phillip of what made me feel this way of him. It wasn't just like I said, that's why they made the cover. I said, so I start thinking deep into thoughts of going the cover. I'm looking at Phillip, he's looking down. I'm like, see, they even did the cover like that of the whole show. Like, I'm like trying to look at him. And I'm like, did you not show at least like one or two of the dates? Like, I did know. I mean, because we hung out. They were all coupled up.
Yeah.
Majority of them, 3 of them. So me and Phillip had a lot of those dates together that wasn't shown. So that would be my regret, of they show more of that and why I felt the way I did for Phillip.
Okay, so if they were to greenlight a second season, what else would you like to see? So more dates, definitely more developing like characters, more personalities. What else?
Well, I think COVID limited a lot of the dates. I'm sure if there wasn't COVID, that there probably would have been more like outside dates or, whatever. But I just really think for what the show was really about, you had kids who had come from broken homes and you had parents who were divorced. I feel like, let me go back. When they showed the flyer of what the show was going to be about, or the casting of the show, it said producers of Love Island and Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. So I don't know if anybody has watched Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, but it's a very emotional show. They get to know the heart of the people, why they feel this way, why this is going on, and they help them get to a better place or whatever. So I thought literally it was going to be Love Island meets Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And so I felt, because you had these two groups of people, that they could have connected to a different audience in a different way if they showed more content of what was really going on. Because the bonds that we've made and we had some really good conversations.
Beautiful moments.
Troy and Grant were single dads who took care of their kids majority of their lives. You don't really hear people talking about that. And maybe that would be boring, but people watch Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, and that's not boring. And that's kind of like what the show was about. And so I just felt like if they did more of that, like the kids had major connections and talked about how they felt like they were the only ones or wasn't comfortable with talking about being kids of broken homes or divorced parents, and how they really bonded on that level. And not to make this long, but I was at a dinner party the other day and we were talking about the show, and maybe half were divorced and half were married, but all of them pretty much said, like, when I talked about like the kids connections and our connections, they all said, I wish they would have shown that. Like we as grown women would have wanted to see that development and see how, so I know what I can do in my divorce, or so I can see how my kids are feeling in
Absolutely.
that situation. And so just that's like the common thing that I hear. Like when I talk about it, like, I wish they would have shown that. I wish I could have heard about it. So now so I can see what my kids are feeling, and I can know how to help them when they don't share with me how they're really feeling. So for me, if they did something like that again, I would love for them to do more of that development of the character, and then really get deep into that conversation, which doesn't make it a fun dating show, but it can help so many.
Yeah. And I pretty much, I feel the same exact way. Okay. The only thing I would add to it is let them, okay, if the kids were meddling and got to pick our dates, I think at one point they should have really let the adults pick
I agree.
who they wanted to go on a date with, because I think that would be more authentic. I think that if I really wanted to go on a date, let's just say with Phil, not Phillip, because everybody knows him, so we're going to get another man in here. Like if I wanted to get to know Phil a little bit more, still have the kids meddling and do their thing or whatever, but like I think it would have showed more of, like, I don't think it would have been as awkward, and then you feel like so forced to be on a date with someone, take it a Joel date with me, it was just kind of like, okay, I think we're just friends, and I don't know how to on camera, like, show, like, do I'm supposed to look like I'm into him, like, because you have all these kind of things. But I think that if you get to pick at least one that you really kind of want to go on a date with for real, like on both sides or whatever, I don't know, I think that would make a little bit of difference. And then I think maybe have a little bit more people, not too many, because that's just too many, but I think there should have been a little bit more diverse, like maybe there was men that like bigger women, or women that like bigger men, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Because I mean, most, it's just, I think there should be a little bit more of diverse people in a group, and then of more commentary, because it gives the other people chances of, bonding into a relationship, if that's what they truly wanted. But other than that, I think I would keep it the same. I think, but I don't know how they would do a second season knowing that the kids are meddling, though, because then everybody's going to know the kids meddle. So they're going to have to, I would think, come up with something different. I did think, like I could go on there and we could have all the brothers and sisters on there, like helping Trish find one they could be dabbling and doing too. Listen,
what I mean? You can come in as a surprise person. Whitney doesn't have to come back, or they could do like a dating show, and then towards the end, and the kids come in and maybe meddle or give their input. I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways they can spin it.
There are ways for sure.
Same show.
I mean, they've had 3 seasons of Too Hot to Handle. They find ways to bamboozle people into coming.
Yeah.
So they can bring you back, Trish, and then I can come and be like Jimmy or Nicole.
Yeah, Jimmy's cool. I miss Jim. I miss Jimmy. Manager. But yeah, they did overall really good. That's just the only thing I would suggest, like a little bit of that. But
and
other
promote
than
the
that,
show more. How about that?
Other than that, it was good. They did good. I was like, it's their baby. It's a good show. Like I watch it continuously.
Yeah, it was good.
It did great.
It was good. It was cute.
All right. So where can the people find you? What can they anticipate? Any projects in the future? We can start with you, Deneia, and then end with Trish.
All right. Well, you can find me on Instagram at Deneia, not underscore Deneia, but Deneia, Deneia. I'm also on TikTok as I am DEDI. I am delivered from divorce. I am Dee. And then as far as projects, Trish and I are working on a women's movement called Second Chance Sisters. And so we have a Instagram account that we haven't started putting anything on yet because this is new and fresh. But you can start to follow us already, please, at _ Second Chance Sisters 2.
Perfect. Okay. And then my Instagram is Patricia Marie _1. And then I have a TikTok, which is Patricia _Marie 1. So a little different there. And then Facebook, it's original Patricia Duncan. And then again, like Deneia says, follow us on Second Chance Sisters. It's not too early to just hit that to start following us now, because lots of things to come on all platforms.
We love that. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on the
reunion.
channel. I wish I could have reviewed
us.
it, but it was great having this interview with you guys. I loved it. I genuinely loved it. And I hope to see you guys in the future. Don't be strangers to this channel either.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, girl. That's right. Thank you so much for having us, beautiful.
No
Yes,
problem.
thank you so
All
much.
right.
This was fun.
It was. All right.
Thank
Be
you,
blessed.
guys.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
beautiful.
Okay, let me